Employees of the Development Finance Corporation in Belmopan staged a protest outside of the headquarters on Thursday after 3 colleagues at the institution were terminated. Today, Belisario Carballo, the Assistant General Manager at D.F.C, explained that 5 persons have been terminated following a restructuring exercise.
We have embarked on a process of informing our employees individually, because part of the restructuring is not just redundancy. Redundancies are an element of the restructuring, but there are other elements of it which in our view are significantly more positive than negative. And so part of what drove the revision was really to streamline processes, to increase efficiency, and to bolster capacity in certain key areas.
Carballo contends that back in June, the details of the restructuring process were presented to the Christian Workers Union, the bargaining agent for these employees. Notwithstanding the disclosure, Mose Hyde, the president of the C.W.U, puts forward that there is a significant difference of opinions as to how these redundancies should be executed.
The reason why redundancy is in the labor law is because it's a legal thing to do, and a union cannot so simply stop a redundancy from taking place. We cannot ensure that it doesn't happen. What the union is there to do is to ensure that in that case, the worst case scenario, which is not a pleasant thing to have happen, is that it's not being done in a way that is not consistent with what is laid out in the Labor Act, and to ensure, and for obvious reasons, you just can't have anybody just cry redundancy at any old time. It has to be done properly.
Carballo explained that the recomposition exercise saw 10 positions being declared redundant. Of the 10 employees, 5 of them were repositioned within D.F.C. The remaining 5 have received their notices of termination.
The 5 I mentioned is the extent of it. 2 have already been terminated, and that is not really, the timing was determined by them, because when we discussed with them, as I mentioned before, after we disclosed to the union the restructuring approach, this restructuring proposal, we agreed jointly with the union that the next step would have been to engage with the individual members of staff to let them know where they stood and to give priority to those who would have been adversely affected. And so as part of that process of informing staff, 2 members who would have been made redundant opted to be paid immediately. And so those 2 have already been paid about a month or so ago. And so these are the last 3.
New positions were also created at D.F.C during the reorganization. Some of those posts are yet to be filled. The Assistant General Manager conceded that when all vacant positions are filled, D.F.C's cost of labor will increase. The expectation, however, is that the new strategy being implemented will also increase productivity.
It has to be done properly. So that's what it is we're involved with, to try to work how it's supposed to be done, and also deal with the fact that we have individuals whose lives are being impacted by this, and we have to act in their interests.
Has D.F.C conceded that in fact these redundancies were not declared in accordance with the Labor Act?
All I'll say is that a big part of this is that the union and management have a different view on the matter. We are trying to work it out. I believe that there was some movement forward today. We will hope to add on that and try to find a positive way forward on Monday.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.